Let's flip to the second side then and take a look at problem number 7. So we were just talking about lockers, and let's actually think about the lock on the lockers. So does a combination lock that you use for your locker really use mathematical combinations, or really should it be called a permutation lock? So I think the question could also say, would it really be neither a combination or a permutation? But let's just kind of talk this through a little bit. So we know with combinations that the order does not matter and no repeats are allowed. So clearly in a lock, when you put your combination in, the order in which you put the numbers does matter. If your combination is 1, 2, 3, and you put in 3, 2, 1, the lock is not going to open. So the order does matter when you put them in for a combination. So it's not really mathematically a combination. It's more like a permutation, because in permutations, the order matters. So if your combination is 1, 2, 3, you better put in 1, 2, 3, because the order matters, otherwise the lock is not going to open. The reason why I say it's not completely a permutation, though, is because in a locker, you can have repeats. You might have a combination that is 30 to 30 again. That's possible, the way most of the locks are set up. Whereas with combinations and permutations, mathematically, no repeats are allowed. So it's like a permutation because the order matters. However, usually repeats are allowed. So technically, it's not exactly a permutation. It's definitely not a combination, because it fails on 2 counts. It fails because in a combination, the order wouldn't matter, where this clearly the order does matter, which is more like a permutation. However, since repeats are allowed in a typical locker situation, then it would be more like neither a permutation or a combination, because both of those require no repeats. Okay, so just explaining that, understanding kind of the difference is what we're looking for in problem number 7. Okay, let's look at the Venn diagram in number 8. Gives the probabilities of 2 events, playing the piano and playing the violin. These probabilities apply to students at Riverway Middle School, which has 800 students. What is the probability that a randomly chosen student at Riverway plays the piano? Well, let's look at it. This circle right here applies to all the piano players. Okay, so let's look at all the probabilities inside of that particular area there. So we look at these are piano players and these are piano players. So both of those together would account for all the piano players. So there's a 16% chance that the student just plays the piano and a 5% chance that that piano player also overlaps with the violin player. So in total, though, there's 21% of the kids that will play piano according to this Venn diagram. Part B, what is the probability that a randomly chosen student plays neither the piano nor the violin? So this is kind of the opposite idea of, okay, if they don't play either of these instruments, then that means that they're not in either of these circles, which means they're on the outside over here. They're in this outside area here, which does not account for any piano or violin players. So if we take a look at what's on the inside here, we've got 0.16, 16% plus 5%, which gets us up to 21%, plus another 13%. So that's a total of 34%. Yeah, those three up, you get 0.34. Well, if we think about that's all the players, that's the percent that they play something. So that means everyone else would not play either of those instruments, piano or violin. So we subtract that off of the percentages or the probabilities on the inside, we get 66. And if you added those up, it'd be like 1 minus 0.34. So 0.66 would be the decimal version of that, of course. So there's 0.66 then on the outside here that don't play either. So now we've got all the probabilities accounted for. How many students at Riverway played both instruments? Well, first off, let's look at the percentage that played both instruments. The overlap part would be the people that play both. So there's 5%, 0.05, play both. Well, how many students is that? Well, we're told that there's 800 students. So really this is asking 5% of 800. When you get a percentage of something, you take the decimal version of the percentage and you multiply it, so 0.05 times 800, and that gives us a total of 40 students. So 5% of 800 students would be 40 students. So that's our answer in C. D, how many students play either the piano or the violin, but not both? Okay, so let's look at that possibility. So either the piano or the violin, but not both. Okay, so that's this group and this group, but not both, so it's not those groups. So these two together would be the number of students, or the percentage that play one or the other, but not both. So 0.16 plus 0.13, which of course is 0.29, or 29%. And it is asking how many students. So just like on the last one, we're going to then take 0.29 of 800. So 29 hundredths of 800 would be 232 students. We multiply 29 hundredths times 800. Okay, number 9. So the textbook that we take this from is getting a little bit dated. We'll be updating our textbooks within the next couple years here. So we're still talking about a situation where we got entertainment equipment, the CD players, DVD players, and VCRs. What is a VCR? I wonder if your families even have VCRs anymore. I had to put mine out of commission within the last year. It had just been gathering dust, and I stuck a videotape in there and it ate it. So VCRs are kind of obsolete, but nevertheless, let's use the information here. Now we kind of have to go through this step by step. So in 2001, Diana surveyed 300 students at her school about the entertainment equipment. She gathered the information. 187 homes had VCRs, and 141 homes had DVD players. So this circle with the VCRs then, that circle right there, accounts for 187 people, that circle. This circle over here with the DVD players, actually the one down here, accounts for 141. Okay? I'm not going to put that number in there because it's the whole circle that's 141 and the whole circle that's 187. The numbers I put in here are going to apply to just that category. So the darkened area would be just DVD players. When it overlaps, this category would be DVD players and VCRs. So I'm going to hold off on putting numbers in there quite yet. It does say, though, the next category, that 19 homes had no entertainment equipment at all. So 19 is on the outside here. They had no entertainment equipment. Okay, so let's think about that. So 300 minus 19 leaves us with 281 people left that have some sort of entertainment equipment, just as a little number off on the side. All right, so I'm going to cross them off as I go. So I took care of that. 12 homes had only a DVD player. Okay, so 12 homes, only a DVD player. So that would be this group right here. All right, only a DVD player that doesn't overlap with the CD or VCR circles. So I'm going to cross that one off. 81 homes had VCRs and CD players, but not DVD players. Okay, so we got an overlap between VCRs and CD players, but not DVD. So VCR and CD overlap, but not the DVD part. So that portion right here is going to be 81. All right, that's our overlap of VCRs and CDs, but not DVDs. 11 homes had VCRs and DVDs, but not CDs. So VCRs and DVDs, but not the CDs. So that would be this group right here. So that's 11. And then 43 homes had DVD players and CD players, but no VCRs. I got colors here. So again, DVD players and CD players, but no VCRs, so not there. So that would be just this group right here. Okay, so let's now use our information to fill out the rest of our little circles here. So if I'm talking about this group right here, that circle right there is a total of 141 people. 141 minus 11 minus 43 minus 12 gives me the remaining spot here. So if I subtract those off, let's see, I think that leaves me with 75. All right, so 75. So I've got 75 that fit into this category here. Okay, and all right, let's do a little bit of math over here with this circle. All right, actually, take that back. Let's do it over with this group right here. All right, because we know that total is 187. So if we take 187 minus 11 minus 75 minus 81, let's see how much that leaves for this portion right here. If I do that, that leaves me with 20. So I've got 20 left there. Okay, and I almost have all my categories filled in. So now it's really just a matter of thinking about all of the people in our entire school here. So all the people in the entire school minus 20, minus 20, minus 81, minus 75, minus 11, minus 12, minus 43, minus 19. In other words, the entire box here is accounting for 300 people. All the rest of the stuff is filled in. So whatever my remainder is would be the leftover people. So if I do that, that gives me a total of 39. So 300 minus all the rest of these numbers leaves me with 39. So now I have everyone accounted for in my Venn diagram. Okay, so probabilities for each one of these then would be to take those numbers and divide them by 300. So for instance, this 20 out of 300 students, so 20 out of 300 students are in this category right here. So 20 divided by 300 gives me like 0.06 repeating. Okay, 81 divided by 300, so that's this group right here. 81 divided by 300 gives me about 27%. 39 divided by 300 would be this group right here, this group with just CD players. That gives me about 13%, 0.13. And I'm going to do that for each one. So 75 divided by 300, it's actually a fairly big group. 75 divided by 300, what, that's 1/4, right? So that's 0.25. Okay. 43 divided by 300, 0.143. 12 divided by 300, 0.04. And 11 divided by 300 is 0.036 repeating. And then my one on the outside, 19 divided by 300 is 0.063 repeating. So now I've got all my probabilities, and hopefully those, we had some repeating ones in there, but those will add up to a total of 1 or 100%. So C, what is the probability that a student's home had a CD player but not a DVD player or a VCR? So I can now just look at my chart. So they had a CD player, but not a DVD player and not a VCR. So basically it's just saying this group right here, just a CD player. So that's 0.13 or 13%. So that's just that group. D, what is the probability that a student's home had all 3 pieces of equipment? Well, all 3 would be that overlapping section right in the middle, right? So that would be the 0.25 or 25%.